There is a man in Tulsa, Oklahoma, who drove a freight truck for 31 years and just over 3 million miles. In all that time, across 48 states, he was woken up by a knock on his cab door exactly once. Luck had nothing to do with it. Somewhere in his first year, an old driver at a fuel counter taught him that parking a rig is a skill you learn on purpose, or a lesson you learn the hard way. Tonight, you get the 7 rules that drivers like him pass down in fuel lines and dock offices, plus the 5 mistakes that undo all of them, including one that feels completely harmless, but has put more trucks on the evening news than any blizzard ever has. Now, you might be watching this because you drive a truck, or you used to, and you want to see how much of this matches what you learned out there. You might pull a fifth wheel or drive a motorhome, where almost every one of these rules applies just the same. Or you might simply find it fascinating how 80,000 pounds of steel finds a safe place to sleep every single night in a country that is short hundreds of thousands of parking spaces. Either way, this knowledge was earned under real pressure, with real clocks and real consequences. So let's start with the rule that every other rule depends on. Number 1. The parking clock beats the driving clock. New drivers think in miles. Veterans think in parking. Because here is the arithmetic nobody explains in trucking school. There are millions of registered heavy trucks in America, and by most industry counts, roughly 1 legal truck parking space for every 11 drivers who need one. That shortage decides your evening whether you acknowledge it or not. A major truck stop off a busy interstate starts filling in the late afternoon. By 6 or 7 in the evening, the marked spaces are gone. By 8, drivers are inventing spaces along the fuel islands and the exits. And by 10, a tired driver with 20 minutes left on his clock is circling a full lot in the dark, with nowhere legal to go. The veterans refuse to play that game. They shut down early, sometimes with drive time still on the clock, because a guaranteed space at 5:30 beats a gamble at 9. Or they flip it entirely and run at night, rolling through empty highways while everyone else sleeps, then parking at 9 in the morning when the lots sit half empty. One driver with 2 million miles put it this way. He said the load pays the bills, but the parking spot keeps you alive to cash the check. The clock on your dashboard is not the clock that matters. The parking clock is. But knowing when to stop only helps if you already know where. Which brings us to the habit that separates the professionals. Number 2, the 2-spot plan. Ask a rookie where he is parking tonight and he will say, somewhere up the road. Ask a 30-year driver and he will name the exact truck stop, the exit number, and a backup. Because the veterans plan their parking in the morning, before the truck ever moves, the same way they plan fuel. They look at the day's miles, figure where their hours will run out, and pick a primary spot about an hour short of that limit. Then they pick a backup. And here is the detail that matters more than anything else in this rule. The backup sits before the primary, never after. If the first lot is full, they still have legal driving time to reach Plan B. A driver who plans his backup farther down the road is betting his federal logbook on a coin flip, because if both lots are full, his hours expire, and he is now parked illegally wherever the clock caught him, staring at a violation that follows his record around for years. The old-timers also make one phone call that rookies never think of. They call the truck stop in the afternoon and ask about reserved spaces, or they ask the receiver if drivers can park overnight on the property after unloading. Half the time the answer is yes, and an entire night's problem disappears with a 60-second phone call. So now you have a time and a place. The next rule is about the 30 seconds after you pull in, because not all spaces in the same lot are equal. Number 3, read the lot like a map. 2 trucks park in the same truck stop. One driver sleeps 8 hours untouched. The other wakes up to a broken seal on his trailer. The difference was usually decided the moment they chose their rows. Veterans read a parking lot the way a hunter reads a field. They avoid the spaces closest to the fuel islands. because trucks pull in and out of those lanes all night, air brakes hissing, headlights sweeping across your curtains at 2 in the morning, and mirrors get clipped there more than anywhere else in the lot. They avoid the dark back corner too, the one farthest from the building, because that is where cargo thieves work, away from cameras and foot traffic. The sweet spot sits in the middle rows, under a working light pole, visible from the store windows, with an end space if you can get one, so at least one side of your trailer is exposed to open view, rather than pressed against a stranger's rig. They look down before they commit. Shattered glass in a parking space means break-ins happen in that space. Fresh oil stains in every spot means leakers park here, and your $50,000 tractor sits in it all night. And they glance at the neighbors. A row of clean, well-kept trucks with company logos is a good street. It sounds like a lot of judgment to pass in half a minute, but after a few years it becomes automatic, the same way you read traffic without thinking about it. Still, some nights every lot within range is simply full, and for that, the veterans keep a ladder in their heads. Number 4, the legal ladder. When the truck stops fill up, amateurs panic and professionals climb down a list. First rung, state rest areas. They are built for exactly this. Most allow overnight truck parking, and highway patrol passes through often enough to keep the predators away. The veterans know which states are generous with time limits and which ones tag your windshield after a few hours, and they learn that list one state at a time. Second rung, the shipper or receiver. If you deliver in the morning, many warehouses let you park at the dock the night before. One question at the guard shack, asked politely, has saved more drivers than any app. Third rung, industrial streets. Wide roads through warehouse districts where trucks belong, where nobody lives, and where a parked rig at midnight looks exactly like what the neighborhood expects to see. Fourth rung, casino lots, which in many states welcome trucks for the same reason they welcome motorhomes, because a rested driver might walk inside and spend money. And what about the famous big box store lot, the one every rookie has heard about? It is mostly gone for trucks. Posted signs, patrol services, and towing contracts close that door in city after city. The drivers still out there adapted, and the ladder is what they adapted to. But a good spot can still go wrong if you park in it facing the wrong direction. That sounds like a small thing. It is not. Number 5. Nose out, ready to roll. Walk through any truck stop at midnight and look at how the oldest, most weathered trucks are parked. Backed in, nose facing the lane, ready to pull forward and leave in one motion. That is not habit. That is doctrine. Backing into a space when you arrive, when you are awake and the lot is calm, means you never have to back out of one at 5 in the morning, half asleep, in the dark, with fresh trucks parked crooked on both sides of you. The majority of truck stop accidents are backing accidents, and almost all of them happen during departure, not arrival. Nose out also means something quieter that the veterans rarely say directly. If trouble comes in the night, someone working on your trailer doors, a fight spilling across the lot, a fire 2 rows over, you release the brakes and you are moving in 10 seconds. No shifting, no backing, no getting boxed in. And attached to this rule is the oldest habit in trucking, taught since before most viewers of this video were driving. Get out and look. Before the final backing move, set the brakes, climb down, and walk the space with your own eyes. Every dented fender in every fleet yard in America belongs to a driver who was sure he did not need to look. Once the truck is placed right, the night begins, and the night has its own discipline. Number 6, curtain and cargo discipline. A parked truck tells a story to everyone who walks past it, and the veterans control every word of that story. The bunk curtains close completely, not mostly. A glowing seam of television light around a curtain tells the whole lot a driver is inside, awake, and alone. Full darkness tells them nothing, and nothing is exactly the message you want to send. The doors lock the moment they close, every time, even for a 2-minute walk to the restroom, because experienced cargo thieves watch truck stop lots specifically for drivers who leave the tractor open during the shower hour. Some old hands run a strap or a belt between the door handles at night, a trick that costs nothing and turns a quiet break-in into a loud one. And then there is the rule about talking. You never announce your cargo. Not on the CB, not to the friendly stranger by the fuel desk who asks what you are hauling, not on social media with a photo of your loaded trailer and a location tag. Cargo theft in this country runs into the billions every year, and the crews behind it do their shopping by listening. The veterans answer the question the same way every time. Just freight. Nothing special. Because a trailer full of nothing special never gets followed out of the lot. All of this protects you from people. If you are getting something out of this, hit subscribe. From truck stop parking lots to lonely interstate rest areas, this channel digs into road-tested knowledge like this every single week. But the last rule protects you from something that kills more drivers in their sleep than any thief ever has. Number 7. Idle discipline. For decades, the sound of a truck stop at night was 100 diesel engines idling until dawn. That era is ending, and the veterans ended it in their own cabs long before the laws did. Idling all night burns close to a gallon of diesel an hour, which at today's prices means you can sleep away $30 or $40 before sunrise. Dozens of states and cities now fine drivers for it, and the fines run into the hundreds. Cold weather adds a darker problem. Snow drifting against the exhaust, or a small leak in an aging exhaust system, can feed carbon monoxide into a sleeper cab while the driver never wakes up to notice. It happens somewhere in America every single winter, usually in a lot that looks exactly like the one you are parked in. So the modern rule is engine off, warmth from somewhere smarter. Auxiliary power units and diesel bunk heaters handle it for drivers who have them. But APUs fail, usually on the coldest night of the year, and the veterans always keep a backup that needs no fuel and no battery. Heavy sleeping bag, wool cap, and a reflective thermal layer that traps the heat your own body produces. A lot of long-haul drivers keep an emergency thermal bivvy stuffed behind the bunk mattress for exactly that night. The one worth knowing about is called Terra Shell. Packed up, it is about the size of a coffee thermos. Unrolled, it is a full-body sleeping bag with a reflective lining that bounces most of the heat your body makes right back into the bag with you. The engine stays cold, the cab stays dark and silent, and you sleep warm through a Wyoming January on nothing but your own metabolism. It weighs next to nothing, so there is no reason not to have one behind the seat of anything you drive across open country in winter. If you want one, the link is in the description below. So those are the 7 rules. Follow them, and the road gets remarkably boring, in the best possible way. But there are 5 mistakes that can erase all 7 in a single night. And the harmless-looking one from the start of this video is on the list, just not where you would expect it. Mistake number 1, trusting the app blindly. Modern drivers have parking apps that show available spaces at truck stops down the road, and the information is genuinely useful. Right up until it isn't. The counts run on sensors and estimates. They lag behind reality, and a lot showing 11 open spaces at 7 in the evening can be jammed solid by the time you arrive at 8. Rookies bet their whole night on that number. Veterans treat the app as a rumor, not a reservation. They still call ahead, still keep the backup spot, still aim to arrive before the evening rush. One old driver said it best. The app tells you where parking was. Your plan tells you where parking is. But an app that lies only ruins your night if something else has already gone wrong. And that something is almost always the clock. Mistake number 2, the last hour gamble. Federal rules give a driver a hard limit on daily driving time, tracked by an electronic logger that cannot be argued with. The rookie mistake is treating that limit like a fuel tank to be run dry, driving until 15 minutes remain and then starting the search for parking. Now the clock is making the decisions. Every full lot pushes you deeper into violation territory. Every choice gets worse, and the options shrink to whatever pavement happens to be nearby when the hours hit zero. The veterans build a buffer into every single day, an hour of driving time held in reserve like cash in an envelope, spent only on finding safe parking. It costs them a few miles a day between the fuel stops and the way stations. It buys them 30 years without a story that starts with, "So there I was, out of hours." Because when the app lies and the clock runs dry on the same night, drivers end up doing the one thing I warned you about at the very beginning. The mistake that looks completely harmless. Mistake number 3, the ramp shoulder. This is the one. It feels like nothing. Your hours are nearly gone. The lots are full. And there sits the shoulder of the highway exit ramp, wide and flat, with 2 other trucks already parked on it. So you line up behind them and shut down. Every veteran watching just winced, because parked trucks on ramp shoulders are one of the most consistent killers in this industry. A car drifts at 70 miles an hour, follows the taillights it thinks are moving, and drives underneath a parked trailer. It has taken drivers asleep in their bunks, and it has taken whole families in passing cars. There is a federal law named after a driver called Jason, murdered while parked in an abandoned lot because no safe parking existed, and that law exists precisely because nights like this end badly. The other trucks on the shoulder are not proof it is safe. They are proof that 3 drivers ran out of options at the same time. The fix is everything in rules 1 and 2. Stop earlier, plan the backup, make the phone call. Because no load, no schedule, and no dispatcher is worth sleeping 10 feet from live traffic. That mistake threatens your life. The next one threatens your freight, and it happens more innocently than you would believe. Mistake number 4, advertising the load. We touched on this in the rules, but the mistake deserves its own spotlight because of how easily it happens. A driver posts a photo of his rig at sunset with the location visible. He mentions on the radio that he is hauling televisions to Dallas. He leaves the load paperwork on the dashboard in plain view, where anyone walking past can read the cargo description through the windshield. Cargo theft crews are professionals, and surveillance is most of their job. They follow high-value loads from the shipper, wait for the driver to park, and take the whole trailer in the time it takes him to eat dinner. The counter is boring, and it works. Paperwork face down, cargo never discussed, locations never posted until the load is delivered. Boring is the entire point. Mistake number 5, arguing with the knock. Because someday, even if you do everything right, it comes. A flashlight sweeps the curtains, knuckles hit the door, and a voice says police, or security, or move along. How you handle the next 90 seconds decides whether it becomes a story or a citation. The mistake is treating it as a debate, quoting parking rules through the glass, refusing to open the curtain, leading with attitude. The veterans all give the same advice. Light on, curtain open, hands visible, calm voice. Evening, officer. I am out of legal driving hours, and this was the safest spot I could find. Show the logbook if asked, because federal law is genuinely on the side of a driver who stopped for required rest, and most officers know it. Then ask the one question that changes everything. Where would you suggest I go? Now the officer is helping you instead of processing you, and half the time he knows a lot 2 miles away that no app has ever heard of. The Tulsa driver from the beginning of this video, the man with 1 knock in 3 million miles, said his entire exchange lasted about a minute. He stayed polite, he stayed brief, and he was back asleep before the patrol car cleared the lot. A knock handled that way is a story you tell at the fuel counter. A knock argued with is a citation that rides in your file for years. And when you step back, all 12 of these are the same lesson taught 12 different ways. Decide before the pressure does. The rookies let the clock, the app, and the empty lot make their choices at 10 at night. The veterans made every one of those choices at 8 in the morning, over coffee, when there was still time to be wrong. Park early, plan 2 spots, read the ground, face the exit, tell no stories, keep the engine cold and the plan warm. And if the knock comes anyway, be polite, be brief, and be gone. The drivers who figured all this out were not writing a manual. They were protecting their sleep, their license, and their freight, one boring night at a time. But the habit underneath it, making your decisions before the pressure arrives to make them for you, is worth stealing whether you ever climb into a cab or not. And if winter driving is part of your life either way, that TerraShell link is in the description. Now, there is a video on your screen right now about the 7 rules people who live in their vans and cars use to stay invisible anywhere in America. Same playbook, smaller vehicle. Go watch it.